Alright, Shalom, giving all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shim Kor HaKodesh. Double honors unto the apostles of Great Millstone, and the honors your brothers of be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. And the brother everybody coming out here to give you this truth for the grace and mercy of Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kor HaKodesh. Giving all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shim Kor HaKodesh. Okay, so I didn't really know how to title this video. Right, I didn't really know how to create a precept or find the correct precept to use for this particular video. So I've used this one, and I suppose it is applicable in the topic that I wanted to speak about. So Lord's will, it's the appropriate precept. So let me get into this video. So what I wanted to talk about right now is engaging with every single demon that frustrates you, whether it be at the camp, job, your woman, okay, your family, your kids. Yeah, you don't need to. I don't feel like you need to really do that. Okay, I'm happy to be corrected on that, but the way I'm feeling right now, I think I'm thinking probably I don't want to be battling against every demon. So the reason I use this particular precept is because we're in a spiritual battle right now. Okay, we're in a spiritual battle, and our war weapons are of a spiritual nature, right? So a guy comes up to the camp and he wants to get physical. Yeah, obviously we're gonna defend ourselves, but there's ways, especially a guy like Vocab Malone, right? People that know how to really wind you up. There's ways in which, these particular demons, they could really have you in a crazy situation, man. Guy comes up to the camp and you're being a bit overzealous, which we all have had that stage where we're being overzealous, and you're trying to take the thing down a path of carnality. Well, we've been given a diversity of tools. Okay, we could use charisma, humor, whatever the situation may be, to diffuse the situation. But if the situation gets too much, remember, you can always walk out the situation. Okay, now for brothers that might teach on their own, that might be a little bit more difficult, but you certainly don't have to engage in every demon. And I suppose the proof of what I'm trying to say is what the apostle said. Guy like Vocab comes along, man. We don't need to be engaging with that guy. Okay, let's move it to, let's say you work on a fast-paced production line. Okay, pressure's on. Okay, you gotta get the product out. Okay, you gotta get the product out, and you gotta get it out quick. That could be a very stress-inducing situation. Very stress-inducing situation. You got a co-worker, maybe they're not pulling their weight. Okay, you got a co-worker that's very frustrating to work with. Well, that particular situation could be very volatile, so to speak. And that, again, like I said, our warfare is of a spiritual nature. We don't want to bring a bad name to this truth, but by any means necessary. Okay, we don't want to bring a bad name to this word by any means necessary. We don't want to be the guy that started a fight at work. We don't want to be the guy, we employed that guy here, but we had to go through a whole HR thing and whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. Okay, sometimes things happen, but really that's not the type of person, or that's not the type of vibration you want to associate with this truth. You don't want to be the guy that, if you can avoid it, you don't want to be the guy, right, that didn't slapped up his girlfriend or whatever because you came home and you thought you was a king in the building, according to some of these cats out here that call themselves kings in the building before even Yahweh Shai, his throne is, his dominion is established upon the earth, but they're kings in the building, right? You don't want to be that guy calling yourself kings in the building, and they put you out there, especially with the AI and everything, and the way they can manipulate the news. You don't want to be the guy that brings a false name and a false reputation to this truth based upon your actions between you and your so-called, other half, right? But again, every man's situation is different, right? But it's just something to think about. What other example could I make? With these kids that we have, okay, these children that we have, and they got demons on them, man. Some of them ain't gonna be of the elect. Remember, Yahweh Shai's blood and flesh, some of his blood and flesh was not of the elect. Okay, I believe Jude was one of his brothers. He was of the elect, and I forget the other one or the other ones that he had. Right. So you got particular family members, you got particular co-workers that they're in your life just to create chaos. They're in your life. The Most High put them in your life via Satan just to be an agent of chaos. And you can have 99 days that's good days. And that one day, they're just running amok. Okay, they're just running amok. Okay? This is where you have to realize, look, man, you could use the humor, to diffuse the situation. You could use the charm to diffuse the situation. But there's certain times you just have to pull yourself out of the situation, man. Certain times you just be like, you know what, I'm done. Let me get 5 minutes to collect my thoughts. Sometimes you could just say, look, like, let me, give me 5 seconds, give me 5 minutes I just need to collect my thoughts. Give me a second. And that could be very advantageous because at least the person becomes abundantly aware of what you're going through, right? And how their behavior is affecting how you think. That's a way to look at it. But more so than that, you're not going to bring a bad name to this truth, because hey man, like the Apostle Tahar always said, a big problem is just a little problem that hasn't been dealt with. A big problem is just a little problem that's not been dealt with. So if something very small, a little leaven up the lump, something very small could turn into something very big if it's not handled correctly. And this is where you have to handle the situation with humility. You got to understand we're in hell out here right now. Okay, we haven't been put up on this place right now to be prosperous, to be living flash. Okay, we haven't been put up on this earth right now to be living like kings in the building, of which we're going to have some goodies, man. The Most High's going to bless us. We're Israelites, man. Hey, we're the Most High's elect. We're going to get the blessing here and there, Especially right now when you see these curses, they be attacking Esau. The Most High's finna to bless us now, man. Yahweh Shemashai's finna to bless us now, man. Okay, that's not to say you ain't going to be catching hell. Scripture talks about how that we're going to be going through tribulation, and through that tribulation was going to enter into the kingdom. So you got to just balance it. Okay, yeah, it's not going to be hell all the time, but at the same time, when the blessing comes, you got to just be mindful not to overindulge to the point where you forget that you're in hell, and then now when the hell comes, you don't have the tools to deal with it. What did the apostle say? Well, I believe it was Paul that said, look, I know how to abase, I know how to abound. When I'm good and I'm up, I just manage my mind in the way it's like, okay, where's the hell coming? All right, I got to chill here. If I indulge in this too much, right, that's a situation that's, when it gets balanced the other side, it's like, I ain't going to be in the position for that. Let me give you an example, right? Let's say you're overindulging with the food, you ain't fasting, you ain't preparing your mind for what's coming up here. Man, when that family comes along, man, you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle because you overindulged. When you was abounding, you overindulged. We know there's a time of scarcity coming up on the face of the earth. We know that, man. We know that's coming up on the face of the earth. Hey, with your kids, with your woman, you could overindulge in a happy-go-lucky family thing, but these kids, these women, they're gonna change on you, man, in a heartbeat. They're gonna change on you in a heartbeat, bro. And then now you're bugged out like, I thought things was good. Things was never good. We're in hell. You just had a good moment. We're in the midst of the battle. We're in the midst of wrestling, and you settled on your knees. You was watching Family Guy. Okay, you was watching My Wife and Kids, watching the reruns. You're laughing. Man, this is a great life. And then reality hit. Now you're bugged out. Now your foundations are not sure because you didn't stay tight. Okay, you gotta stay tight within this truth, man. You gotta stay on point with this truth, man. You gotta realize where you are. We're in a position of hell. You gotta move circumspect. You're going to be watching yourself. Okay, yeah, I can laugh, I can smile over here, but I ain't going to overindulge because I know, man, this guy's got demons on it, man. Let me just keep a little space for myself so if the situation starts to go sideways, I could just easily step out. See, when the mind gets rattled, right? When you see, the worst kind of pain is the pain that you don't expect. Ain't that funny? The worst kind of pain that you can feel is the pain that you don't expect. Let's say somebody told you you're going to step your toes in a pin. Your mind's already prepared for it. But let's say you stepped into that pin on accident. Brother, your whole day is going to be messed up. Okay? The plans that you had, right? You was going to go Subway, get yourself a tuna melt. That's all out the window. The whole day is messed up off of that one thing because you wasn't expecting it. But when we come into this truth, we're taught, and this is something I gotta put that as part of my daily prayers. I gotta put that as part of my daily prayers to remember that we're in hell out here. That's an important part to put within my daily routine and prayers. I gotta put that because you be forgetting, man. Okay, you be forgetting. I'll be forgetting, man. I'll be like, hey, man, this is kind of cool, man. Hey, what's up, man? And then you're forgetting. And then when the hell comes, you're underprepared for it. When the hell comes, you ain't ready for it. Okay, when the hell comes because you got kushti, now you're being shaken to and fro. Boom, the whole thing falls apart because you didn't have the right mindset to approach that particular situation. You should always, what did this guy say from Heat? Man, I don't have anything I'm attached to that I can't leave in a couple of minutes. That's the mindset you're supposed to have. You should be like, okay, right, if I'm with this particular person, this particular woman, right, if I got my kids over here, if they're acting this particular way, I gotta know, okay, All right, my heart's not in it anymore. If it's your kids, my heart's not in it anymore. I'm going to look after these guys, right? Take care of them. But, you know, they're in the world, man. What can I do? Okay, I know that's not the best example. That's just the example that came to mind. But you extrapolate, you apply that to your own situation. You extrapolate and think about that. It might be your job. You say, okay, all right, man. I see this job sometimes it's stressful, but really it's a decent paying job. It's stressful, but we're in hell, all right? If I can manage the stress, I'm good. But if it comes to a point where I can't manage the stress, well, I gotta have my whole budget designed in such a way that if I gotta leave this job, I could take a lesser paying job, and hell, maybe I might even get a better paying job. This is how you gotta think, man. This is how you gotta think. You don't want to be attached to anything within this world, really. You don't want to be attached to anything within this world, because as I've seen time and time again from my own personal experience, I've only been on this earth not for too long, but from my own personal experience, every time you get attached to something, that's when Satan just be lurking in the midst there, boy. Every time you move off of the standard, you just be chilling a little bit, you know. You're like, oh man, god damn it, man, this person's got demons on it. That's why I'm saying I gotta put that as part of my daily prayers to remember that we're dealing with people they got spirits on them, man. They got spirits on them. And again, I suppose the message of the video was learn to let go, learn to leave it behind. Learn to let go, learn to leave it behind. Okay, it might be just a situational thing, and you can patch things up after the fact, and that's not a bad thing. You know, sometimes you just need to leave the room for about 5 minutes, come back, and you recollected, because it's within that little space that you could have, when you should have been recollecting, man, you could do a whole bag of mess. Okay, you could do a whole bag of mess, right? Within that little short space amount of time, you could do a whole mess. Whereas if you just chilled, right, left the room, come back, you're in the right state of mind. It's, you know, your woman, right, your kids, right? You see your kids, they're doing a madness, right? And you feel like you're going to lose too much control. You got to discipline your kids. But sometimes we be going through so much stressful things, because we're a part of this truth. You be going through so much stressful things that you could just take out that stress on your children, right? Which, you know, I don't think that's entirely fair, right? I don't think that's entirely fair. Yeah, discipline your children, but you don't take your day out on your kids, you know? whack them with a Samsung remote. Hey, yeah, we all been there, man. Your parents come from work. You know, you did a bit of madness, but you're getting whooped for their stress at work. Hey, we all been through it, man. Okay, you get beat with an extension cord, okay, the wooden spoon, because you know they had a rough day at work, so they're gonna take their rough day on your little fuck up. But you know, that all made us better people within this truth, because that adversity that our parents got. Now we see how beautiful it is to have apostles, because the apostles, they are always balanced. The apostles are always fair. Now you see, okay, oh yeah, that's what it is to have a father figure, a role model. That's what it's like to have somebody that's going to really watch out for you with your best interests at heart. See, guys come into this truth and they see the apostles and it'd be too rough for them. And it's like, well, hold on a minute. Your parents were worse than this, man. Because your parents, when they was cursing you out, they wasn't thinking about your best interest. They was thinking about venting about some shit that somebody said to them at the workplace, man. Maybe the manager was in a mood and gave them all the rubbish tasks. Now they're doing the rubbish tasks. You haven't hoovered the house. You haven't hoovered the house. Now you're getting the wooden spoon treatment. Hey, man, we're blessed to have the apostles, man. We're blessed to have the apostles. But to bring it back and close out this particular video, yeah, man, learn to navigate, okay? Not every situation needs to be dealt with. Some situations need to be dealt with. Some situations need to be dealt with. Sometimes you have to tell a guy, look, man, this ain't working for me. You need to change. Okay, you have to tell your woman, look, man, if you don't change, I'm out of here. You have to tell your kids, look, man, you got to be on point, right? You got to be on point. Because in this truth, we get on each other. How much more so these people within this world, they're bugged out. But within this world, there's a limit on that. So there's particular situations where you're going to be around people that got all kind of demons on them. Demons might come up to the camp. And how you engage in that is going to reflect on the truth. How you engage in that is going to reflect on the truth. So you're going to be able to maneuver in such a way where it's tasteful. And I'll say, look, man, put that as part of your prayers. Brothers should be praying all the time. You should have a list of weaknesses that you have and say, okay, right, Lord, you know, this is a particular weakness of mine, right? Show me how I could react in this situation where it's not going to be a hindrance to this truth, right? Guide my spirit to where in that instinct where I gotta make a split second decision, I do the right thing that reflects appropriately to this truth. That's I think every brother should put that prayer up, man, because this is where we're at right now. We're in a trippy place, man. And we're around some bugged out individuals that got some demons on them, man. Okay, we're around some bugged out individuals that got some demons on them, man. The women that we're around, they got some demons on them, man. Okay, and you gotta be able to react to situations in a split-second decision and realize, okay, I'm dipping. Oh, okay, I'm gonna stay, but yo, this situation, I gotta realize what it's for. Just a bit of box for right now. Same thing with your kids. Okay, I like my kids, I love my kids or whatever, right? But these kids might not make it. This is where we're at, man. This is where we're at. All right, so I hope the video was of edification. With that, I'm gonna say all praise unto Yahweh Shema Shai Ba Shibu Kwa HaKodesh, double honors unto the apostles, a great millstone. Honest brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity, right? And I'll see you on the next one. Shalom, shalom, shalom.